Stuart Charity. There's been a lot of activity over the years on this issue. Where are we at now?
Yes, there has been a lot of activity. We started in 2009. There was an inquiry into vehicle data sharing in 2011. The recommendation was to go to firstly a voluntary code, and if that didn't work, a mandatory code at the end of 2012, and we signed a voluntary code at the end of 2014. We're now at the situation where the voluntary code's been in place for 15 months and is having no meaningful effect on the availability of repair and service information. So we're now mobilising our industry like never before. We're getting massive support all around the country from repairers, and they're all writing to their local MPs, raising these issues and asking their MPs to make representations to the Minister on their behalf, on behalf of their businesses and on behalf of all Australian car owners.
Stuart, while you're arguing for the portal and access to information, there are other people in Canberra who are actually arguing exactly the opposite. What do you say to them?
Look, there are, and certainly the opponents for any government action on this have said that there's breaches of intellectual property. That's not true. Any data sharing agreements that happen around the world specifically exclude car manufacturers' intellectual property. They've said that we want the information for free and we're not prepared to pay for it. Again, not true. We've always represented that independent repairers are prepared to pay a fair price for fair access to information. And the final thing that our opponents are saying is that there is no issue and that we're just beating this up. I can tell you that, as I say, we've had a massive groundswell of support from our industry, making representations. We're gathering huge amounts of evidence of where information is being withheld, and we're making all of that available to government. All an MP has to do is ring any independent repairer anywhere in the country randomly and ask them if they're having trouble getting access to repair and diagnostic information, and I'm sure they'll get an answer that this is a major issue for every single independent repairer operating in Australia.
Stuart, given motor cars today are like computers and there is a great need for mechanics right throughout Australia to have access to data and passwords, and it impacts on 13.7 million car owners, what do you really want the government to do right now to benefit those car owners?
We're calling on the government to effectively mirror the arrangements that are already in place, a mandatory arrangement that's already in place in the US, mirror that across to the Australian market, which would create a national automotive repair and service portal, which would be accessible by all repairers operating in the industry on a fee-for-service basis, and independent repairers would be able to get access to the same information that dealers get for the same cost. What we've seen in the US is that system working very, very well. No breaches of intellectual property, strong competition. It actually frees dealers up to be more competitive and more entrepreneurial, and consumers are the winners. So we believe that we've already got a model up and running in the US. An important point to note here is that the same companies that operate in the Australian market also operate in the US market. We can't understand why Australian repairers and Australian car owners are being discriminated against by those same companies that are sharing information in the US and in Europe.
Does the government have the power to bring this in?
Yes, as I said at the outset, this has been a 7-year process and we've gone through a range of different phases. We believe now that all the preconditions are in place for Minister Kelly O'Dwyer, the Assistant Treasurer, to prescribe a mandatory code to basically adopt the US system. And I will say that whilst we participated in the voluntary process, we have been telling government that the only way to resolve this issue and the only way it's been successfully resolved anywhere in the world is for government to mandate a solution.
Thank you, Stuart.